Hey guys, I'm back with another video. I know a lot of you guys have been requesting for a law school starter kit, so finally, here it is. So what I'm gonna do is actually I divided it into two groups. Basically, it's the must-have group and the can-have group. What's the difference? Of course, must-have. You must really have them for you to survive in law school. The can-have, they're essential, but basically you can survive even without them, depending on your style. So let's begin. The very first thing I want to discuss are the books. Of course, you are in a school, and when you're in school, you need textbooks. So many of you who probably took up legal management are familiar with the types of law books. But for those of you like me who entered law school without knowing what the law school textbooks really are, I was kind of surprised. Because there are actually two major types. The first type of book is the codal. Codal. Boom. This is what you call a codal. What does a codal mean? It's a code of the law. So this is a type of textbook that has just the provisions of law. So there's no annotations, no explanations of the meaning or interpretation of the law. It's basically the whole law in textbook form. All right. So you need several codals for first year. You have for persons and family relations, criminal law, etc. So you need to buy codal. But regarding buying, I'll get back to that. The second type of book is the actual textbook. So this is bigger, thicker. And the difference between a codal and a textbook is that a codal has only the provisions of law, while a textbook actually has the annotations or interpretations and explanations of the author. Usually the books contain the provision of law, but they also explain to you what it means, what the article means. So you need these two sets of books for you to survive in law school. Something I'd also like to add about the books. Remember I mentioned to you guys that you must have a codal and a book. However, if you are enrolling in Ateneo, for example, please do not buy any book yet. You may buy a codal if you want to go over and read some of the laws, but do not buy a book yet. Why is that? Because when you enter into Ateneo Law School, usually there are 6 blocks, at least initially, blocks A to F. And each block have more or less a different set of professors. And for one subject, these professors might have different books that they would require for you to read. So as of now, you guys don't know your blocks yet. You guys don't know who your professors will be yet. And because of that, do not buy a book yet. And you don't have to worry about running out of stock, because the law school itself actually has Rex Bookstore. Rex Bookstore is the bookstore found in the Ateneo Law School. And more often than not, they have the available book. If they run out, you can look for other branches. Alternatively, you can check perhaps Central Books or National Bookstore to see if the book required is available there. Next, it's pens, highlighters, etc. So for the writing implement, I'm pretty cheap. Again, if you've seen some of my other videos, I use M&G pen. This is 9 pesos and it's a sign pen. The only downside of it is that its ink runs out really fast, but I don't mind because I buy like a set, 10-20 of them at a time, so I get to use them for a long time. But of course, you might have your own favorite pen, so the pen is an actual must-have. For the can-have, I'd say some people actually do not use highlighters. Yes, it might come as a surprise to you, but I used to use highlighters but I stopped. Mainly because it took up too much time. But for a first year student, I would really advise you guys to buy highlighters. Now, in relation to highlighters, I'm gonna show you guys a very neat trick of how I made the most of highlighter use. So here it is. Now, when it comes to the art of highlighting, there's actually no one correct way of doing it because each person has his or her own style. Some people do not highlight or do not use highlighters. Some people do, and the number of their highlight colors range from 1 up to maybe 6, 7, or even 8 different colors. For me, I use 2 colors, pink and yellow. And there's actually a neat trick that I use. So let's say I would highlight the heading or important words using the pink, and then I'd highlight the text with yellow. Alright. Now, sometimes within the text, there are also some other important words. Let's say in this sentence, you want to highlight the words act and omission. So what I just do, I use the pink again and highlight act or omission. And look, now I have 3 colors. Pink, yellow, and orange. So I'm kind of cheap that way, but that's a pretty neat trick I use. So with just the use of 2, I can come up with 3 different colors. And here, I know that this is the heading, this is the whole text, which explains this heading, and within the text, these are the important words. Some people use other colors for, let's say, the exceptions or the negative words, etc. So it really depends on your style. Of course, I don't have to tell you that it's a must-have to have a bag. I guess that's self-explanatory, but it really depends on you of what type of bag you need. Sometimes I have some friends who actually bring a trolley or a stroller with all of their books, especially because some of the readings, your readings, you'd be surprised, would get really thick real fast, especially for constitutional law in your first year. So make sure you invest in a bag that's comfortable for you. Many of my friends, we actually opted to use the backpack. The good thing about backpack is handy. You can move from place to place and you can segregate your items. So personally, whether you're a male or a female, you can use a backpack. But again, that's up to you. It's your choice. Another must-have is your ID strap. Of course, there's no rule for Ateneo, for example, that you use the Ateneo ID strap. For the first 3 years of my law school, I just used the ID strap that they gave during the orientation seminar. Again, because it's not really a thing for me, I don't mind. But again, a good ID strap is also necessary because you are required to wear your ID in school at all times. That's pretty strict. You can't remove your ID while you are in school, as a general rule, of course. As a can-have, you can actually invest on a, okay, what's this metal thing? It's actually a book stand. Alright, so this is how it works. So here's my book stand. I was telling you it's pretty light, and so it has 2 legs basically, and it can go either way, forward, backward. Of course, there are different types of book stands, but this is the one I got. It's pretty light, but it's very sturdy. As you can see, I am going to put this big heavy book, and see, just like that, the book fits pretty well, and it's very sturdy. Doesn't move around, it won't fall. And there are different types of book stands, but this one works well for me. So that's my handy book stand. I actually got it for, I think, 200 or 250 from a friend, and it's pretty light, and I can just stuff it in my bag like a paper, and it works like a charm. Let's now get down to one of the most crucial or important discussion points between a must-have and a can-have, and those are reviewers. So the main question is, do you need a reviewer? Straight up answer is no. But under certain circumstances, of course, they are handy. But it's very much advisable that you make your own reviewers. Nonetheless, there are many reviewers available. You can get a lot of these reviewers photocopied in the Blessings photocopy store. They actually have that in the library. One thing about law school is that you'll have to read a lot of the cases, and there are two things that you can do with it. You can either have them photocopied or you print them. And that's why for the next must-have, I think you must have a good printer. And again, the thing is, you can choose between a continuous ink printer and a regular printer. And I tried both, and I realized really quickly that by far the continuous ink printer is really much better in terms of cost, and the quality is not that different. So I suggest that you guys get a good printer. There are a lot of papers that might need to be submitted, plus the cases that you can print on your own. Let's say if it's a holiday or a weekend, the library is closed, you can't get a copy of the case, and you're used to doing print. So get yourself a good printer. Alright, now let's talk about gadgets. Is it a must-have or a can-have? Can-have. Again, why? Because I don't use a laptop. I only have a desktop at home, but I'm not, a laptop user. Plus the library again has its own computer room where you can use the computer for your schoolwork. But again, this differs from person to person. I'm sure many of you guys have your own iPads or your own laptops, and again, totally go with it, because a lot of people, they excel or they're really fast in typing, and they find it comfortable to use a laptop for schoolwork. So go ahead, if you have the laptop, go ahead with it. You might find it useful. Take note though that there are some professors that do not allow you to use electronic gadgets in the classroom. So that's something you must take into account. If you guys watched my video on my final steps, I discussed there the learning types, and one of the learning types is this kinesthetic learner, like me. What that basically means is you need to be moving and you need to be doing stuff. That's why for me, I don't use electronic gadgets, because I like writing. And when you're using your pen and you're writing, studies have shown that it stimulates the brain and it helps retention as opposed to just typing. So that's just a personal preference for me. But of course, you guys can opt to do handwritten notes or use a gadget to type like a laptop. So there you go. I hope you guys found the video helpful. Congratulations to all the incoming freshmen for getting into law school. I hope that you find the journey fruitful. And if you guys want to see any other videos, learn more about law school, anything under the sun related to law school, just leave a comment below and let me know what you guys want to hear. And if I can make a video on it, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!